The topic of this video is going to be a flamethrower. So what I have now in the project is I can hit a button and shoot a little projectile, but maybe let's say I want to add another kind of weapon into my game, and that would be a flamethrower. So we're going to go through how to create that. So let's just get into it. So the first thing you need is you need a texture. Go ahead and go to Google and just find an image of a transparent fire. If it doesn't have a transparent background and it's a fire that you really like, you can go to a website called remove.bg and it will remove the background for you. All right, so I found this fire texture that is already background removed, so I guess I'm cool with that. So I'm just gonna save this fire and drag that into our textures folder. And on this, go ahead and from grayscale, alpha transparency, and hit apply. Let's go ahead and right click and let's create a new particle system. And I'm gonna call this flamethrower underscore simple. We wanna create a material for that. So I'm gonna go to my materials folder, right click, and create a new material and call this flamethrower underscore material. And for this one up here, the shader is standard. We actually want that to be a legacy shader, particles, and let's choose additive. Now in here, it's looking for a texture. So we can actually select the fire texture, there it is, in that little box. So on our flamethrower, we want to apply this material that we just created. So you can drag it on top of the flamethrower and you should see it looks kind of horrible. So let's set the duration to be a little bit shorter. Let's set the start lifetime to be also short for similar reasons, like maybe 1.3, 1.5. This start lifetime is kind of the range of your flamethrower. So like the longer you give it, the farther your flamethrower will reach. And let's give it a really fast start speed. So the start speed, let's go ahead and use this little arrow here, change it to be random between two constants, and let's give it some pretty high numbers, like 25 to 50, maybe even more, like 35 to 50. And now the start size, let's go ahead and give it a random between two constants as well. And maybe this is between like 6 and 10, 8 and 10. And let's also set the start color to be just a little bit less hot here. So like a slightly darker gray. Now we need to kind of cover up what we're doing here. Let's say the emission rate over time is something much bigger, like 300. Okay, we're already looking a little bit better. Maybe 200, 500, 250. Cool. So you can kind of mess with the emission. Now for our shape, we do have a cone, which makes sense, but let's set the angle to be something a little bit tighter. 4, 5, 6, something like that. And the radius, let me set this radius to be something smaller, like 0.1. Anyway, yeah, you can mess with the angle and the radius to kind of get the shape that you're looking for. 10 and 0.1, something like that. Scroll down to another module, which would be our color over lifetime, this one right here. And this window will pop up. So let's go ahead. These top two keyframes are your alpha, the bottom two are your color. So let's set the alpha so that it fades out at the end. There you go. So you get that kind of fade effect. And you could even, you could even add another one in here, one at the beginning. So it starts transparent, it becomes fully opaque, and then ends transparent again. And then what about also like size over lifetime? What if we check the size over lifetime? So it's starting low and going high. There we go. Something like that. And then maybe it ends on like a 2. Cool. 2, and then it starts at a little bit less than 1, and our flamethrower is looking kind of okay. I'm kind of cool with this. So I could even take this flamethrower and I could child it to my cube and set it to 0, 0, 0, so it's in the middle of my cube. Too big, definitely. Like, let's make it 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, so it's a little bit more the size of my cube. So when I hit play, like as I move around, this flamethrower will come with me. And if we wanted to hook it up so that I could start and stop this with a button, we would probably want to go to our flamethrower and we'd want to uncheck looping, and we would want to uncheck play on a wait. That way we can control it through script. You don't really have to care about what my script example is doing. The code that you would need to add to make this particle system stop and play would be something that looks kind of like this. You would need access to a particle system, so you'd probably say private particle system and then give it a name. And I'll just call this underscore flamethrower. And then you'd want to serialize the field so you can drag that flamethrower in through the inspector. Let's go ahead and make a really quick weapon select system. There's definitely better ways to make a weapon select system, but I'm just going to do a quick one so we can get this up and working. So let's make a private lowercase enum. This is like a drop-down menu, and I'm going to call this available weapons, and then open up curly brackets, and then inside here I'm going to say bullet, and then flamethrower. So we have 2 available weapons. Let's go ahead and create one other variable to hold what current weapon is selected. So I'm going to create a serialized field variable that will be an available weapon. So I'm going to call that a private available weapons, and I'm going to give that the name of like current weapon. Just a real quick thing. So now in here in our space key, because say I want space for every available weapon, we'll just check if the current weapon is our bullet. If current weapon equals the available weapons dot bullet, then we will wrap our curly brackets around that instantiate, and we can say else if the current weapon equals the available weapons.flamethrower. Then what we can do is we can probably just call on our flamethrower particle system, we can say underscore flamethrower, probably dot play. There you go. So just a really simple checking between our two current weapons. So on our cube, I'm just going to make sure to assign the flamethrower simple into the flamethrower system. And in our current weapon, it's bullet, but I'm going to choose flamethrower instead. All right, so I can move around. And then here, when I hit space, is the flamethrower. And when I let go of space, it lets go eventually. There we go. Very simple flamethrower. It's not perfect, right? Certainly not. We're going to cap it off here, but in the next one, we will do a more complicated flamethrower. All right, see you in the next one.